Cheers. Good evening to you. It is Wednesday, July 9th at 10:25 p.m. Hope you're doing well. A couple Purdue things that I wanted to talk about. Wanted to get together because it's been a little bit of time since we've talked. And this time, I promise to keep the numbers at a minimum in order to keep myself from looking like a moron, even more than usual. But holy moly, a bunch of you guys are here. Appreciate you guys tuning in live. It's not the work day, so maybe it's just easier to jump on. I don't know what the deal is, but thank you for those who have tuned in live already. And thank you to those who are listening on delay as well. Thanks to our sponsors as well. If you're in the market for hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, maybe some old-timey retro jackets, you know where to go? HomefieldApparel.com. Head over to Homefield, enter Boiled25 at checkout, get 15% off your first order. Right now, they got a 3-hat grab pack that can be anybody. Anybody in the whole US of A. One of their, I think they have hundreds of licenses. Almost positive they have hundreds of licenses. And if you're just into college sports, that's probably the product you should do. And they're pushing it via email. Check out your email if you're on their list. If not, check out their feed. They'll tell you a little bit more about it. Also, the Play Hard hat. Like I say, it's not a hard hat. It's a Play Hard hat that pays homage to Gene Katie. That's the thing that this summer it's got my attention. Also, when you're on campus and like my pal Max, if you went to campus with your significant other on a summery afternoon and just walked around campus, romance is in the air. But you know what else is in the air? The smell of meats. Delicious meats. Sorry, I was trying to keep it straight there. But yeah, if your nose doesn't take you to AJ's, your feet should take you there. Go towards the fire station, look for the blue and black signage, head inside, talk to the kindest people in all of the U.S. I'm not overstating anything tonight. Straight down the center. Your pal Boiler Dowd's just telling you. Delicious meats. Wonderful pints, burgers, beef, beer, and handsome Adam waiting for you. That's AJ's. That's not their slogan. I went way too far today. And I'm not that deep into this rye that I'm drinking tonight. So just jacking around. Hope everybody's good, though. All right. So there are a couple things I wanted to talk about. The first one, the biggest news, the greatest, biggest, bestest news of all is something that we all knew was coming anyway, but I'm still going to bring it to you because maybe you haven't been paying attention on Twitter. I don't know. Maybe you don't like Twitter anymore. Maybe you think Twitter's dumb because it is kind of dumb. But nothing's better for quick hitter news than Twixter, ex-Twitter. News at a glance. And of course, Brian Newbert told you, GBI told you, they already knew it, but Oscar Cluff's visa and papers are all in order, just like we thought they would be. Everything's good. And he's going to head to America soon. That's not a surprise, but it's a big deal. And it's such a big deal that I made a stupid thumbnail depicting it. If you didn't see it, please check it out because I love... Sometimes I want to do I think I've told you guys, I want to do a quick guess just because the thumbnail makes me laugh, the idea. And then thanks to this stupid AI era we're in where you can quickly generate images and then you can combine things. And if you have any, I didn't do a very good job on the Photoshop of his head. The coloration's off, but still you get the point. Oscar Cluff in front of the Stars and Stripes. Everything's A-okay. Second thing I want to talk about. Matt Painter had an interview recently with, I believe it was Big Ten Network. It's on YouTube, and that's how I watch a lot of stuff. A lot of podcasts come to me through video. Do a lot of that during my workday. And my biggest takeaway from the whole thing, and Dustin Schutte actually wrote about it. If you check out his Twitter feed, he has a link to it, and he has a transcript of the whole thing. But the thing that stood out to me more than anything was Painter's comment about tampering. And the reason that stood out to me so much is I think he was talking directly about, I'm not going to talk about the recruit. I'm not going to do that because who cares? There's a guy that had verbaled, or no, he hadn't even verbaled to Purdue, so it's really not that big of a deal, but he was a heavy Purdue lean. He reclassified. Purdue didn't have the spot for him. He ends up at Iowa. That's what I think Painter was talking about, the situation. He says, guys tamper. with recruits, leans, signees, whoever, and also players that are already on the roster. We know that happens. And then he says when you meet them, they try to act like they're your buddy and try to act like there's no big deal. And I wonder how Painter handles that. Maybe he takes those. I mean, I bet his hands are massive. He's a big guy. But the anaconda squeeze, maybe that comes out and he just grits his teeth and looks him right in the eye. Maybe he uses a 6'6" frame and kind of stands over him a little bit, steps up into the handshake and tells him how happy he is to see him. Who knows? But you can tell Painter was not happy with that, and he mentioned it specifically. The guy's playing nice and playing happy to your face, but then doing that type of thing, and he didn't have much time for it. I love to see it. I wish the NCAA had some teeth. The tampering rule does exist. It is not legal to tamper, but it happens all the time, of course. And finally, one of the biggest things that's happened in the Twitter universe or the Twitterverse recently, again, me with Twitter, was Ray Davis and I having a conversation. I don't know if you caught it. If you want to, you can go through our feed and you can see some of the things that I said about it. But Ray Davis made an interesting comment that kicked it off. I think the root of the comment was very interesting. He said, all the while we were talking about the portal and NIL, we all missed the story of European professionals coming taking spots on college basketball teams. And I assume this is happening on football teams too. I mean, there's German tight ends that are pretty good and linemen. Maybe that's happening more than it used to. And I kind of took umbrage with the root of it, saying, why is this a big deal? And the reason I said that is because if you look at some of the things that have been torn loose, some of the rules that used to keep things in check about ex-pros or current pros coming and playing college basketball or college football or college baseball, whatever it was, one of the big things was amateur status. And I right away talked about the fact that a baseball player who could sign $1 million guaranteed signing bonuses and contracts and just decide, I'm not going to play baseball right now. I'm going to go play college football, a la Russell Wilson, right? Many players have done that. I think Drew Henson may have gone back and forth too a long time ago. And I'm sure it's happened more and more in that on the football side. And he said, that's completely different. That's baseball, it's football. The whole thing that I looked at, and I said it and I will say it, the misnomer and the misnaming of what college sports are, what college athletes are, we need to start doing that. I think as a culture, I think first off, it should be called the National Association or National Professional College Association of Athletics, because these guys are pros. There's no reason. I know there are some that are playing NCAA basketball, probably many more that are playing specifically basketball, because Ray and I were talking about basketball, that aren't making a living wage. But right now in this day and age, with the upper echelon rising, the cream rising, if you will, the talent rising, these are pros. These guys are making 8, 10, 20 times more than many grads from Purdue University or elsewhere. It's not like Purdue guys aren't making, Purdue guys and girls aren't making a good wage. In fact, the return on investment, it's a fact, according to Forbes and other places, Purdue grads do quite well compared to other schools when they get out of school. And yet, they don't make the money that many of the basketball players do on the roster. I'm not disparaging the players. Let's be very clear. What I'm disparaging is the language or the storytelling. Maybe it's by the NCAA constantly using the student athlete moniker. And that was one of the rubs that Ray had, because he said, okay, if I flunk off the team, I can't play. Okay, to me, that looks like a stipulation to the employment now, right? Keep up your grades and you can continue to have your role. But you can quickly counter that with about 1,000 examples of places that do not care about the academic standard at all. Calipari at Kentucky, for instance, just talked about how he was just trying to get guys' grades up for one semester to get them through the college basketball season so he could get them ready to go through the tournament and get off to the pros. That simple. If that isn't a charade, if that isn't a sham, I don't know what is. And that entire conference, everybody knows it. The SEC has very, very loose academic standards. It's documented. There are many Big Ten programs, football and basketball, that don't have any academic standards, if we're being really straight with this. Ray talked, it was different at Purdue when he was there, and it's still different. He calls them athletes, student athletes. That's great. That's great. I have no issues with that, but Purdue is different. Purdue does still hold a standard, but even within Purdue's athletic department, the academic standard gets blurry from sport to sport. It depends on the coach. It depends on some other, the standard in the basketball program is not the same as every place else. Regardless of of the academic standard, though, to me, these guys are pros. That's my whole point. Is Purdue doing it better than a lot of people? I think so. I love the way Babinski and Painter and the administration have handled this period, and they believe academics still matter, getting a degree still matters. Does Purdue really want to see athletes getting degrees? Absolutely. Is it good for Purdue to see these guys actually graduate? It's huge, right? But a lot of the things that mattered 4 or 5 years ago simply don't matter anymore. And there was a good discussion, sidebar, saying, is academics going to matter at all officially in a couple of years? I don't know. I can't see in the crystal ball, but I will say that we can disagree here. Ray Davis and I can. I just see these guys at pros, and I can tell you that if I could do some quick math, when I graduated from Purdue, I moved out to the Northeast within a couple months, and I got my first job, almost my dream job, working for a big shoe company, a brand that in the Boston area. And I made hardly any money, and I was a professional because I was getting paid to do a job. Is it that simple? I asked my daughter this question. We went through it. She's 15 years old, and I started asking her, what makes a professional? Is it just the way you handle yourself? So a kid that, for instance, is a lifeguard, like my daughter right now, if you handle yourself with professionalism, you're a pro, right? People say, that kid's a pro, right? Is she making a living? No. But she's a pro because of the way she handles herself. So is it just the way they handle themselves? Okay, if that's the case, then there are many, many NBA players that aren't pros because they're hacks and they don't give a damn about it. And there are guys that outwardly don't show it. So I just want to put a little words to the typed word here and to the discussion. I got no issues with people disagreeing with me. I like the discussion, but I think Ray's off the mark here. You can sound off in the comments below. You can sound off right here live. Also, one more thing, and this is much less important. I watched Barry Odom on a podcast, and I've been listening and looking around. One theme I keep hearing, and it was on that podcast and somebody else, I cannot remember. It was 2 guys hosting, and Coach Odom came on. Looked like it was a radio affiliate of some sort, but I can't remember the letters. First off, very businesslike. Barry Odom is very businesslike. He's very, very good in front of the mic. And he's like Jeff Brom at times. He can say a lot of words and not say much. But there are 2 things that I took away. One, Barry Odmwell at UNLV was in a rodeo to help his team. And the story he told was hilarious because he was told, we're going to get you on a bull. It'll be just real quick. It'll be a fundraiser, get some money to UNLV's program so they could help their NIL, I believe. And he was told he would get on an old bull and it would be very easy. Here's the picture of the bull, and the bull was an old, beleaguered, beaten up bull. And he gets in the bullpen or whatever you call it. He's next up, he looks at how many people are in front of him, and then looks at the bulls, and he's like, holy moly, that's not the bull that they told me I was going to be riding. And the story goes that the bull that he was supposed to be riding, the bull that he was promised, passed away before this rodeo, before this event. And instead, I can't remember, Wilbur or something was the name of that bull, was replaced with a bull called Widowmaker. This is the way he tells the story. And he went out there and he was on the bull for, I think, 1.9 seconds. He's a strong guy. He's an ex-linebacker. He's still put together. But he said, number one, people who have talked about it said he was pretty dingy coming off that. He got away, didn't get a secondary. The bull didn't get a second shot in, which is pretty normal. But it was not what he expected. So that's one thing. Number one, I took away, he said he'd do anything for his programs. He wants kids to succeed. I thought it was a funny story. The second part, though, that I've been taking away over a composite of that podcast and elsewhere is the idea that Missouri bailed on Odom pretty early because they were impatient. And I think it's a good narrative. Now, I watched Missouri play, and you've heard my thoughts on Odom when Purdue beat the hell out of him with Jeff Brom's team at Missouri. That was not impressive, obviously. Missouri also stole one from Purdue, and I think they absolutely stole that one in Ross-Ade. Many of you were there. There was a questionable call. Trying to remember. Number 12, the wide receiver who was a quarterback converted to wide receiver, made a catch that they ruled out of bounds, if I remember correctly. dang, I can't remember his name. And his brother played on Mizzou, if I remember correctly. Wish I could remember his name, but I bet one of you guys will know it. But that game was stolen. Missouri did a good job coming to Purdue, barely taking a win. Purdue went to Missouri the year before and just beat them like a drum. But anyway, Barry Odom's Missouri team at times were impressive, but at times were underwhelming. I think that was some of the problem. Let's see. Jared Sparks, that's it. Doug and Angie, thank you. Thank you. Jared Sparks, that's correct. And Sparks' brother, I think, did play at Missouri too. But here, let me look at this, because if it was just a deal of patience, let's look what happened at Missouri, okay? So Odom's last season at Missouri is exactly what I'm talking about, is mediocre. But his previous two, so he takes the job from Pinkel. Gary Pinkel was... Let's see. I want to hit the total record here and not misreport this, because these are numbers again, and we know what happens when I get with numbers. He was that's not enough wins. So Pinkel was 0-7 in his final year, and I think he was asked to leave early. Okay, so did Odom take over in his first year? And he must have been, it was 0-8. Okay. And I think he was taking over for Pinkel there. Something doesn't add up there. That's different seasons. I still don't understand how an interim coach could be 0-8. 2017, he was 7-6. 2018, 8-5. 2019, his final season, 6-6. Bowl team, but not a very exciting one. They were ineligible for a bowl, it says. And there's a note here that I can't read. The year after Odom was fired, the next year when Drinkwitz took the job, they were 5-5. That's 2020. It's a shortened season. In 21, they're 6-7. 22, they're 6-7. And then in 23, finally, Drinkwitz turned things truly around. They were 11-2, and they were 10-3. So it took them a while. Many Odom apologists say if they would have waited, good things would have happened. Over at UNLV, what happened after Odom spent some time down in Arkansas, right? He took over a UNLV team in 2023. They were coming off a 5-7 record, and he made them 9-5 right away. And his second year last year, 11-3. The guy can coach. You probably, if you're anything like me, you're like, it really doesn't matter. He's our guy right now. And I think that's a good perspective to have. But at the same time, I think this narrative is an interesting one. It's popped up a couple times in front of me, and I thought I'd just bring it up and start a discussion here. So a lot of good stuff here, a lot of stuff to talk about in the notes, in the comments, whatever. But right now I'm going to talk to you. Thaddius Gruba says perfect timing. So Thaddius was here live, right on. Marshall Briggs, we've been discussing on Twitter again, says first, and he is not first. He is not first. That would be Thaddius. Ted Berkey said, good late evening. Same to you, Ted. Ted, see this new thing, and I don't understand it. It must be you guys earn it. I don't know if there's thumbs up on comments that earn you, but Ted had the #1 crown briefly before giving it away. Nope, he kept the #1 crown. I don't understand any of this. That's in the live thing here. Kevin in Albuquerque says, good evening, Dowd. Same to you, Kevin. Greg McManus says, hello, like that. Jarvizda says, good evening, sir. Same to you. Greg McManus says, good evening. Max, I was talking about him earlier, says, good evening from God's country. Excellent. Jarvizda says, Sleepers Media cured my insomnia. I don't know what that means. Oh, I do know what it means. You're a huge fan. So, yeah. It's a tough job they've got. They've made it so they're going to fill dead air, and they're going to talk about things that are small stories. They admit it regularly, but they're not a regular stop for me anymore. So let's see. Nathan A says, hello from flood-ravaged Hill Country, Texas. I've been praying a lot about the people, or for the people of Texas, and for the people have lost so many people. It's really, really hard to watch. And I don't know if you've been affected personally, but hope you and your family are well. The bravery among the rescuers is just incredible. The stories are just awesome and really heartening. But at the same time, some of these things, these lives that were ended unexpectedly, the stories from that camp alone, gosh. People going to bed and just saying it's just a storm, and their families never seen them again. Really tough. Sorry to put the wet blanket on everybody, but worth a mention. It's a horrible disaster. Joe Inslee says, I'm here for the numbers, especially number one. Yes. And Joe, guess what? No, very minimal numbers. But even when I had those minimal numbers tonight, yeah, I butchered those again, it looks like. I don't know how, but I found a way. Max says, take a wild guess where I ate tonight. If it wasn't AJ's, Max, if the wonderful smells didn't waft your nose and just start pulling you like a cartoon and you just floated, on the waves of those wonderful smoked, they do have smoked meats. They got smoked meats, but they have slow cooked meats. They have, man, I wish I were there right now. Jarvis just says, the old rundown hotel up the road from campus had some smells. Yeah, yes, it did. Down at the bottom of the hill. That was a motel, right? Yes, it did have some smells. I knew people that stayed there. I don't know if you had stayed there. It's gone now. It's just a memory. Been sold, and now it's becoming something multi-purpose, multi-use, I'm guessing. That's the way they do it now. Hershey999 said, did you hear Meyer might be playing in the Israel's U20 team? I did hear that. I read it on Twitter yesterday, I believe. The dude is he's what one of the things that Matt Painter looks for in players now, according to his own things he says. One of them is if they ask for money very early and get involved into that right away, I think he pretty much moves on from them. Second thing, does the degree matter? And the third thing is, do they just breathe, drink, sleep basketball? And I think Omer Meyer's that guy. So it makes a lot of sense that he would try to jump right back in and play for another team, especially higher competition. Good test there. We'll see. We'll see what he does. Hopefully we'll know the answer soon so we can keep our eye on it. Ted Berkey, who's the number one king, says he could be talking about Gillis, Wisconsin situation. Yeah, he could. He could be talking about a lot of things. I'm just going to go ahead and put Iowa in there because that whole thing stinks. But all I said about the kid from Iowa is Purdue owes him at least 8 losses. So hopefully they give it to him. And I don't care. I've moved on already. Joe Inslee says, Chris Winkie won the Heisman at age 28 after playing minor league baseball for 6 years. Yeah, he's one of the many examples of that, right? Chris Winkie, though, that was a weird one. There's tons of examples of guys being pros and then coming in and still being amateur, in quotes. I'm throwing air quotes up if you're not watching, if you're just listening. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a good example. Pat Pence says he doesn't normally drop names, but Newbert name dropped Michigan as one of the tampered with Braden Smith. Yeah, and Michigan has been tampering a lot with a lot of pros. It's not like Purdue's special, but it is special when it's within conference, and then the guys come play nice, and Mr. Glad handing at the coaches conventions and media things, and I'm sure that just pisses Payne off. I think Payne is pretty straightforward. I don't think he has any time for it. So thanks, Patrick. Kevin Albuquerque says, always going to Patrick. Pat Pence says Gonzaga was 2 summers ago, Michigan this summer. Yeah, Gonzaga actually was 2 summers ago and 3 summers ago with Braden Smith. They effed around a lot with that situation, according to a source that I trust very much. So, yeah, and it's pretty, and Mark Few was one of those guys who always tried to act like everything's fine. And he's a guy that tries to act like, the most innocent of parties, right? There are other guys that are good at that as well in the coaching game. Yeah, stuff pisses me off pretty good. Greg Menace says, I sent you the Mizzou press release when they fired Odom. Total case of unrealistic expectations. Yes, Greg, you are. Thank you. Yeah, it was totally unrealistic, and the record showed there was unrealistic expectations. And Missouri has a past in messing around in the unrealistic expectation game. They did it in basketball. They have done it over and over and over, and they did it again in football in that case. Very much good stuff. Doug and Angie checking in, helped me with my horrible brain. Joe Inslee said Mizzou was the let it be game. Yeah, it was hot. It was really hot. It was really humid. I believe some of my BS pals would also say that is the game where we all connected with Tyler Trent. It was awesome. Jay and his son were in town. my son and I went down there. Michael was in town. Anish was in town, and we all hung out with Tyler for a quarter during that game. It was really cool. And yeah, let it be never works in my finding. It just doesn't work. So you're right, though. That is correct, Joe. Max says AJ's tonight, Triple X tomorrow. Those are good. Those are good choices. No one's going to. I don't think anybody would defy that. I don't think the guys at AJ's would say those are bad choices. I know they'd love one, though. Marshall Briggs says, since the Oaken Bucket game will be my first game at Ross A, do you recommend hitting up Harry's before the game? Wife, the experience. I don't understand that. Before the game, to give wife the experience of the whole thing, I'm guessing? Yes. Keep in mind, knocking out 40, AJ's already in the plans. It's up to you what you do with other places other than AJ's, but I will say you should go to AJ's. I will also say that there are many bars nearby that might be your speed, regardless. And I'm not going to vouch for any of them. I've never been a big Harry's guy. And it's not because I hate the place. I've been there. I didn't go there until right before my senior year ever. And even then, I think it's once or three times. It's like I went one time. It's at least more than once. I can remember another time. I didn't drink anything the second time. First time I went there, had a beer with a bunch of people that I worked with and was friends with. It's just not my thing. It's not my thing. I'm not the biggest bar guy, though. I'd rather sip bourbon at home with a bunch of pals sitting out on the deck. That's a perfect situation for me. So that Missouri game, I believe that's one of them where we rented a house off campus and we hung out and drank bourbon and smoked some cigars. So that just tells you about me. But it's up to you. I think if you're going to go full Purdue experience, though, I think you probably should go there. I think that's a fair bet. Just because and there are many people, my pal Ray would say this, that is absolutely an essential stop when you're on campus. So I'll argue with myself some more and I'll come up with an answer. No, you should go there. How about that? I'll just give you a final answer. I used to like going to one of the bars that's out of business, not there anymore, because it was more of a sports bar. And it actually, for me, it was before I started hanging out at AJ's too. AJ scratches a couple itches for me. But the big one that if I was going to go someplace now, I would want them to serve bourbon, and they don't at AJ's. So that's just me. Sorry about my cough too. Greg Menace says Michigan took a run at Braden Smith this summer. Well, now I don't like May. Well, it wouldn't be this summer. It would have been in the spring, right? Yeah, I think there's reasons not to like May. Just look at his smug face. Greg continues, Mizzou expects to compete for the SEC championship annually. They couldn't even do it in the Big 8 and the Big 12. It's a great point. And yeah, the athletic department's a little delusional. Odom is an alum of the place, though, too. So I think that's even makes it a lot more unkind of a cut, right? They were 6-6, and he wasn't the problem, by the way, on those. The reason they were bowl ineligible. So, yeah, Jarvis brings up the Dwayne Purvis All-American Burger. Excellent. One of my favorite things in the world, honestly. I get onion rings, put it on top of there. So I shouldn't talk about them during this show, but sometime we can talk in person. Yeah, it's a great burger. A lot of mentions of that other brand. Not going to do it. Jake's. That's it, Jarvista. Jake's is gone. I can talk about Jake's because it's not in existence anymore. I like Jake's for a lot of reasons. I thought their food was good. I thought the atmosphere was awesome. Different times it was totally live and there was fun. I've always thought that was more fun than Harry's, but it doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, good, very good point, Jarvista. Max says, Dowd, what do you have going on Saturday? My fiance would love to meet you if you don't have anything going on. I can tell you I'm really busy this week. Like absurdly busy. I appreciate that. But we can DM to see if there's any possible way to do it. But man, I mean, I've been working late and I've been doing a bunch of stuff and putting out fires too. I don't know if you ever have any of these weeks. This is a very personal side note where it just feels like all you're doing is solving problems. Not just work stuff, but just you get a letter in the mail and it's a mess and you have to call and be on the phone for 2 hours and fix something. And then you get a phone call the next day and all you're doing is just calling people and say, That's not the situation because there's an whatever error and you have to fix it. And then you have something personal happen. It's been a wild week. So nothing you can't handle, but it's just one of those weeks. Plus my work is ridiculous right now. So, but let's DM each other if nothing else. Marshall Briggs says, heard yesterday that Purdue football landed a couple transfers from Louisville. They have been hitting Louisville pretty hard. And I don't think there's anything personal there, but they've been beating them and recruiting and getting guys out of the portal. And it's noteworthy. I can't say I'm unhappy about it. So yes, sorry, not sorry. Take joy in it regardless of their impact. I agree completely, Marshall. So yes, I'm with you. Joe misses Jake's. I'm the same. Kevin in Albuquerque says, likewise, T.A. Tom's another very fun place. Always, whenever I went into T.A. Tom's, once again, didn't go in there very often. Very, very crowded. Very crowded. And that's, again, maybe my memory. When I was younger, I liked crowds. I do not like crowds now, unless it's just like a crowd at Ross-Ade or Mackey, and it's like a lively thing. I like the crowd at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in May. I like that too. But yeah, I try to avoid crowds now. Ted Berkey says, sounds like Odom is doing a sneaky good job on the recruiting front. He is absolutely doing a good job on the recruiting trail. And there's absolutely no reason for me to get too excited about it. And you guys can take it however you want, but there's so much time generally before those guys will see the field in most cases, because so many rosters, Purdue's one of them, have tons of transfers that are very veteran, and they're going to take a lot of the reps. I think it's the right way to build a roster to make sure you have those guys backloaded. But the way this last 2 years have gone, how long are you going to have them? It's the hardest thing. It's the toughest thing. I literally have talked to Purdue players on the roster, current roster, about this idea, how hard it is for fans to understand who these guys are and how much we want to, but it's so difficult. So, yeah. Chris Beeler says, I believe Jake's is coming back. Awesome. It's in Lafayette, though, at the old Chumley's location. That's big news. Breaking. And I appreciate that. That's good news. Hive Mind Jeeps, I went out of order here, says, it was slightly before my time, but I always heard Wabash Yacht Club or Stacks was a good spot. I believe Jay Money liked Yacht Club. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know that was a big fraternity hangout too. And Jay was not in a fraternity. But I believe that's true as well. But no, a lot of people like Stacks and Yacht Club. I didn't ever go to them. See, I'm the wrong guy. We get into pop culture, and really quickly you'll find that you and I might have had different interests. Who knows? But we meet here to talk about Purdue sports. So good stuff, though, from everybody. And that is not a quick cast. It's 33 minutes, but it's close. And my intention was it would be a quick cast, but I already renamed it a NightCast, so it doesn't need to be quick. Greg Manis says, Jay like Yacht Club figures. Yeah, so even if it's not true and that's a jab, I love it. So let's have more of that, Greg. Next time you see him, make fun of that and whatever he's wearing. I think it's the right thing to do, Greg. And I think you know him well enough that I think you should. It's a good thing. So good. Also, make fun of his hair because it's too good. I mean, dag nab. I don't mean to. His hairline is perfect. I mean, he's an old man, for God's sake. He has it's like flat, like he's wearing a hat. It's perfect. I don't get it. Nobody has a hairline like that, but handsome Jay. So that you really can't make fun of his hairline. I'm not kidding. It's ridiculous. Marshall Briggs says, maybe Odom is the next Google me guy, but seriously, I hope he does well and helps us shake the 66-0 stink. It's a big stink. And if there's an IU fan watching or listening, because they like to come in here and say stupid shit, no one who is a level-headed or has half the level head of a Purdue fan can say anything about that 66-0 other than it is a stench. And it is heavy in the Purdue fiber right now. And Odom is not the next Google me guy because he's not a turd of a dude. Let's be real honest. And Signetti is. And Signetti's a winner. You can't deny that. But that Google me bit, what a bunch of crap. It was really easy to dislike him early and just hold on to that for me. So Ron Gable, how are you, Ron? Says, did you get Raphael straightened out last night? No, there's no straightening out. I didn't get him straightened out. I don't know if I was trying to straighten him out either. I was just kind of discussing. I was putting things out there because his look on the world, it's great. I have no problems with someone seeing things the way he did. Like I said, it's a disagreement and a discussion. But I completely wholeheartedly think that I'm correct. And he thinks he's correct. And if you go back, you look at the thread, you can make your call which one of us you align with. It's fine. I think I discussed my feelings on this here, but yeah, I got no issues with Ray. And I love the fact that some of the things he said were exactly the attitude you want to have about many things. That school comes first. That's awesome. I love hearing it. And I hope every Purdue basketball player really takes their studies super seriously. I can tell you some of the demands on their schedule make me believe that might not be the case to keep that as possible, right? Especially late in the semester when, I don't know, you're traveling to a major tournament that takes a lot of your time, a lot of your focus. But there are other things either. We can tell. Anyway, Marshall says, cheers, Dowd, mic drop moment. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Jarvis says 66-0 did get the garbage out of town. It sped up everything, right? To have Purdue fire a coach that rapidly, and it wasn't just the IU game. It was also the Wisconsin game. It was also the Notre Dame game. Those specifically were so non-competitive. And Purdue looked so ill-prepared in those games and others that I think it was an impossible win for Babinski to say, hold on for one more year, and the trustees to hold on for one more year. They could not do it. So that if I don't think there's any way that was going to get turned around. And I made my thoughts very clear during the season, but it's a way to put it. So Greg Mass says, Ray has the shorter fuse with Purdue fans since the spring, shorter than fans of other teams. Maybe it's because he feels comfortable with us. I don't know. I don't think did he sound angry? Maybe a little short with me. He's not shorter than me. He's a foot and a couple inches taller than me, I believe. I think he's around, 6'5", 6'6", I'm guessing. But no, I don't. It wasn't short. I just asked him a couple questions. That's all. Maybe look back. I asked a couple questions. Yeah, that's all. Ted Berkey, who's the number one king, says there are three sides to the argument: BDowd's, RayDay's, and the right side somewhere between the two. I think mine's the right side, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't know if there's three sides. I don't know if there's three sides. I think it's pretty clear, actually. I'll be real honest. I think it's pretty clear. These guys are pros. You have many players on Purdue teams. When I say many, I bet, and we don't know because there aren't public contracts. So this is me and conjecture and rumor and market value based on other things. But I would bet you have, I think I did this the other day. I bet there are 4 or 5 guys making more than $500,000 on Purdue's roster this year. To say these guys are not pros is extremely laughable to me. I don't know how many of you among the discussion. I hope all of you have made $500,000 in the last year or more. I hope all you have. I wish you well. I do not ever wish ill will on someone just because they're succeeding. No, keep going, doing your thing. I don't wish ill on the Purdue players that are doing it. In fact, good. They've earned the money. The market says they're worth that money. That's professional money. That is big boy money. Big boy money. So maybe it's not to you. I don't know. Ron Gable. Maybe it's not to Ron Gable. Who knows? Who could even ask Ron? Marshall Briggs says, yeah, but the dude lands a job at Washington. Yeah, we're talking about the coach. Talking about soft landing. Great landing place. I talked about that last quick cast, which was I think it was the last one or 2 ago. Regardless, no need to go back and review because mercy, I was a mess. Blake Vidmer says, Vidmer or Widmer, I don't know. I like Vidmer. It sounds more exotic. Says, boiler up, Dowd. Appreciate it. Dan G says, Rayfell is 6'6". So he is 14 inches taller than me. Yeah. And he's also, he's kicking ass on BTN. He's great at his job. Greg Manis says, it's absolutely a step above minor league or semi-pro with no contracts and absolutely a wild situation. And for a guy from Europe, think about this. if you're on one of those junior teams, you're a professional starting, I think, as early as 15 or 16 years old. You can be a junior FIBA player where within the organization you can be called up, kind of like the double and triple A situation. I don't think those guys are making a ton of money. And then you can come to America and get a hearty raise, get incredible exposure, especially if their goal is to play on the biggest stage in the NBA, which I know a lot of guys in Europe don't really want to do that. But I don't get that idea with Meyer. I think he likes the big stage. I think he wants the big stage. I think he's earned the big stage also. So pros. Yeah, I agree, Greg. And I think it was a logical next step with the way things have gone in professional college sports in America. So maybe I'll start calling the NPCAA. Yeah. Blake Vidner says, wish Meyer was just coming to West Lafayette and getting used to his new team. Yeah, I do too. Absolutely do. And I understand a lot of people, there's concern there. He's young, man. This is pretty normal schedule for a young guy to play a lot of basketball in the summer. And also he hasn't played a horribly rigorous schedule of late. You know, he sat out a couple games. I don't think he's getting a ridiculous amount of mileage on the tires. And keep in mind, last year, he didn't play a ton of games. He did not play a ton of games. And the games he played in, he was very effective. But that doesn't mean he's not running all the time, playing pickup and playing practice games and all that sort of thing, and throwing oops to Travion Williams, because that's what he do. So, yeah. Okay, and I think that's where we're at. So we're at 41 minutes for this NightCast, and I think that's a fine length for a NightCast. It's way too long for a quick cast. But I do appreciate all you tuning in live. Great discussion. Check out the discussion on Twitter with Ray and I. Sound off. Don't need to stoke that. I really don't mean to piss anybody off, honestly, especially Ray Davis. I like him a lot. And if he was mad, I didn't mean him to be mad. And if people say he's got a shorter fuse with Purdue fans, maybe, like you said, maybe he just feels like he can be more honest. But I don't think he was angry. I don't think he was angry. He sounded like he got a little bit bothered by me. But angry, I don't know. Ray and I are cool. So we've actually talked a couple times. So there's no beef there. Just good discussion. And also, look up Barry Odom on YouTube, and I bet you'll find that video. It's the most recent one that's on there. So good discussion. I think that's about it. Oh, also the paint discussion. That's another one to look up. So a lot of good stuff. Review the film. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I will talk to you soon. God bless you. Hammer down. We'll see you. See you next time something flares up. Late.